It's Gay again, and this is part 5. And today I want to talk a little bit about maybe going to some offline records as well. Not sure how many of you are aware, most of us are aware that trace African American history, that we did not have last names prior to 1870 when we showed up on the census, quote unquote, as people, unless we were free prior to 1870. But often we want to talk today a little bit about finding out what our possible last name really was prior to that. And so when you're trying to find that out, you will actually have to go to offline records if a person was in fact not free before slavery was over. Now, not so much with the Methodist Church, although the Methodist Church do have repositories. The Baptist Church, at least in southern United States, you are able to find those. I'm tracing my specific expertise is in South Carolina, in the upper country of South Carolina. I trace Spartanburg County, and so my expertise is really in Spartanburg, Lawrence County, those areas, not Charleston, but a little bit more in Richland County, where Columbia, South Carolina is. But my expertise really is in Spartanburg and Lawrence County. And so what I want you to understand is that in the state of South Carolina particularly, and I'm assuming in other states this is also going to hold true, you'll just need to know what library is housing the repository. But the Baptist Church kept church minutes, and pretty much the whole city's business was in the church minutes. So whether you're actually looking now, because as you can see, I'm African American, I am really focused there. However, if a person was Caucasian, they may have been the slaveholder. And so their business was there in the church minutes as well. So I wanted to let you know that you may not be able to know necessarily prior to 1861 or 2 what a person's last name was who was of our heritage. But if you go to the church minutes, you will at least know who their last slaveholder was if they attended church. So let me make that really, really clear, because if they didn't go there, you wouldn't have any information. But if you, most times, 9 times out of 10, if the African American was going to church, they were going where their slaveholder was going. So in the list of minutes, you would often find these are the slaves, and they are the slave to this particular servant. And if you'll just let me pause for a minute, and I apologize, I should have been ready, but I want to pull this up for you. Just a minute. As I was telling you, the church minutes were very valuable in the 1860s, 1850s, 1840s, 1830s. Their life story was written in the church minutes. So you knew who married who, you knew who was owned by who. So you want to find out in your state if there is a repository for the Baptist Church, if you know that they were probably Baptist, not Methodist, or Roman Catholic, if you know that they were Baptist. I try to find out where the Baptist repository is for your state. In South Carolina, it's at Furman University, and you can find about the whole state of churches that were Baptist. And as I said, their life story was all there. So if you're looking for that, if you want to find out last names, you can certainly do that. They were not listed by their last name. They were listed, as in this case, Isaac and Stiles Joe, and Letty by experience. They joined the church in this one, I think it was like in 1857. So they did not have a last name. They just were Stiles' Joe. So Mr. Stiles, E.B. Stiles, in this situation, was the slaveholder. Joe was one of his servants. And so Joe didn't have a last name at that time. And I'm not sure that the reason that why that would be is so that if they were sold, it wouldn't take a whole lot of issue with changing names. They would have only have changed ownership from one owner to another. And as you know, we who are African American were property. So again, once more in church minutes, and in particular the Baptist church minutes, you were able to find the whole town's history. Who was mad at who got put out of the church, for what reason they were put out of the church, who was restored for the church, and who got married in that time. If it was a young lady who was married, you would find out that her name may have changed. Now, I'm only talking in this situation, I'm talking about the slaveholder's daughter, or if it was a woman who was on her own and now she remarries or marries for the first time, her name, if it had changed during that year, it would give her maiden name and then it would give her new married name. So I just want you to be aware that, particularly for us, if you are looking and you're not sure what the last name was, you can certainly find them listed with their slaveholder, and you will at least know what the name of the slave owner was at that time. So that's a good offline record to be able to look for. So make sure you are checking in your state. If your ancestor was Baptist, looking in your state to see if you can find the repository for that area, for that state, and order the minutes for the church. They're usually on microfiche. At least in South Carolina, they're on microfiche. So if you're checking anywhere else, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that that is definitely a place that you can go and look if you are trying to find out who they were, who your ancestor was with those with the last name. So hopefully that's a good tip for today. Happy tracing.